Chapter 66. Two Old Mischievous Apprentices. However, the ones appearing at the door weren't Chen Longxiang, but two old men. One foreign old man, and one Hua country old man. "Who are you looking for?" Chen Zeren asked curiously. Hello, may I ask if this is Mr. Yi's house?" The Hua country old man asked with a sly smile. His grin was so wicked that he looked like a bad uncle trying to trick kids. Chen Zeren felt that this Hua country old man looked somewhat familiar, as if she had seen him somewhere before, but she couldn't remember at the moment. She asked doubtfully, "Mr. Yi, are you talking about Yi Gichen?" Yes, he's exactly Master Yi." Upon hearing this, the foreign old man was overjoyed, and eyed Chen Zeren. "I suppose you must be the master's wife." "Hey John, how can you be so shameless? Mr. Yi hasn't even agreed to be your master, and you're already calling her master's wife." The Hua country old man was naturally Wang Jinglan. At that time, Yi Gichen had no choice but to give Professor John Chen Zeren's address, as he was constantly badgered by him. Unexpectedly, Professor John was persistent and came right to the door. How could Wang Jinglan miss such a good opportunity? As soon as he heard that Professor John was visiting personally to seek a master, he tagged along happily. Professor John ignored Wang Jinglan and smiled broadly. "Master's wife is master home." This master's wife made Chen Zeren's face flush red. However, the weird feeling in her heart grew stronger. Is this master they're talking about really Yi Gichen? Did that guy trick these two old men into coming here? Yi Gichen sure is a troublemaker. Considering this possibility, Chen Zeren cursed silently, then quickly smiled and said, "Gentlemen, what do you want with Yi Gichen?" Well, Professor John was about to speak when Wang Jinglan pulled him aside. "Master's wife, it's nothing serious. We just want to meet Mr. Yi and chat with him, learn from him a bit." Professor John looked displeased, but squeezed in front again. Yes, master's wife is master at home." "Sorry, he isn't home." Seeing the eager faces of the two old men, Chen Zeren was even more convinced that Yi Gichen must have tricked them somehow. "Not at home." Professor John and Wang Jinglan were immediately disappointed. "Oh, could you please ask Mr. Yi to call me when he gets back?" Wang Jinglan quickly took out a business card and, seeming afraid that Chen Zeren wouldn't accept it, directly shoved it into her hand. Then, worried that Professor John would also give her his phone number, he dragged Professor John away. From afar, Professor John's shouting could be heard. "Hey, why are you pulling me? I still have more to say to the master's wife." "Let's go, Mr. Yi isn't home. We can come back another day." "You shameless guy, you didn't let me call her master's wife, but you did it yourself." "You don't understand. This is to leave a good impression on Mr. Yi." "HMPH, you're so shameless." If you had any shame, why didn't you give me the position of senior disciple?" The voices gradually faded away. Chen Zeren stood there in a daze, thinking these two old men must have been tricked quite badly. She was stunned for a long moment, then looked down at the business card. The moment she read it, her eyes widened in shock. Wang Jinglan, he is the dean of Renmin Hospital. Chen Zeren's mind was a complete mess. No wonder he looked familiar. He was indeed the dean of Renmin Hospital. Yi Gichen actually tricked someone as important as Wang Jinglan. Does he have a death wish? What on earth did Yi Gichen do? Suppressing the questions in her heart, Chen Zeren carefully put away the business card, planning to ask Yi Gichen thoroughly later. She finally arrived at the company and hurried straight to the security department. As soon as she entered, she saw a group of people crowding around Yi Gichen, flattering him endlessly. Such scenes were common for Chen Zeren by now. "Yi Gichen, come with me," Chen Zeren said, turning to leave immediately after. The people in the security department started to jeer at once. "Brother Yi is so mighty, Mr. Chen is calling you again." "Haha, it's only been a short while since work started, and Mr. Chen already misses Brother Yi. Brother Yi really is charming." "Totally, Brother Yi's charm is unstoppable." Chen Zeren, who hadn't gone far, stumbled upon hearing this and wished she could go back and slap each of them. Is this what she had become in the security department? Thinking about Yi Gichen possibly deceiving the dean of Renmin Hospital, Chen Zeren's face darkened and her pace quickened. "Yi Gichen, how do you explain this?" When Yi Gichen arrived at the office, Chen Zeren threw Wang Jinglan's business card on the desk. Yi Gichin glanced at the name on the card and grinned. What's the matter? Stop pretending. Chen Zuran was infuriated. This morning, Dean Wang came to our house himself. Thank goodness he doesn't know I am from the Chen Group. Otherwise, it would be impossible for the Chen Group to get its medical equipment into Renmin Hospital. Although Chen Zuran didn't want Chen Longxiang to secure the contract with Renmin Hospital, if he managed to do it, it would be beneficial for the Chen Group. In this situation, Chen Zuran felt a bit conflicted. Seeing Yi Gichin's nonchalant, laid-back attitude only made her more exasperated. What did you do to trick them? Yi Gichin finally remembered that Wang Jinglan was the dean of Renmin Hospital. Seeing Chen Zuran's angry face, he knew she had misunderstood and sighed. Oh dear, you know I have some medical skills. I inadvertently showed a trick in front of that old man, Wang Jinglan. He insisted on making me his master, causing me great distress. Distress, seeing Yi Gichin's serious expression, Chen Zuran became even angrier. Yi Gichin, after spending time with you, I thought you had good character despite coming from the mountains. I even believed there could be something between us. But you're telling me Wang Jinglan wants to be your apprentice. Haha, why don't you say the President of the United States calls you Mr. Yi? How did you know? Yi Gichin replied in surprise. That's classified information. As the great master of the Heavenly God Temple, even the President of the United States had to address Yi Gichin respectfully as Mr. Yi. Well, that was back when he was 18. Yi Gichin thought, deep in reflection. Chen Zuran couldn't believe it. She didn't expect Yi Gichin to be so thick-skinned, actually daring to admit it. What a joke. The President of the United States calls you Mr. Yi. How full of yourself can you be? Yi Gichin, I don't care what you did, but I hope you find a chance to explain things clearly to Dean Wang. Otherwise, if he finds out you tricked him, you will get into serious trouble. Seeing that Yi Gichin refused to admit anything, Chen Zuran lost her patience. At this moment, the office door was suddenly pushed open. Chen Zuran looked up, her face immediately darkened. What's going on? Annie, Chen Zuran's secretary, walked in. Annie looked at Yi Gichin, then quickly approached Chen Zuran and said nervously, Mr. Chen, there's big trouble. The whole company is talking about it. As soon as Chen Longxiang returned from his business trip, the first thing he did was connect with Dean Wang from Renmin Hospital. If our company's medical equipment enters Renmin Hospital, he will definitely suppress you. By then, I'm afraid you won't have a place at the Chen Group. Chen Zuran remained silent. Annie continued, just now, Chen Longxiang's secretary also came to notify that you have to go to the meeting room in half an hour. He's invited the chief of the equipment department from Renmin Hospital to discuss cooperation matters. He wants to embarrass you in person. This Chen Longxiang, is he so impatient? Chen Zuran originally thought Chen Longxiang wouldn't act so quickly, but now there was no other way. I understand. Chen Zuran sat weakly in the chair, his brows tightly furrowed, clearly unable to think of a way to deal with the situation. Once Chen Longxiang secures this cooperation, a majority of the middle and high management at Chen Group will probably side with him. By then, even if Chen Longxiang doesn't make things difficult for her, a mere glance from him would prompt others to do so, making it extremely tough for her to navigate the company. Honey, let me go with you later, Yi Gichin suddenly said. Chen Zuran was stunned, looking at Yi Gichin, even wondering if he intended to reveal her deceit towards Wang Jinglan and sabotage the negotiation. Though Chen Zuran had thought of doing so, the Chen Group was still part of the Chen family, despite being targeted by Chen Longxiang, who wanted to push her out. She couldn't bring herself to engage in such underhanded tactics. I know what you're thinking, but if we rely on such means, even if we sabotage this negotiation, do you think others will turn a blind eye? I'll find it even harder to stay at Chen Group afterward. Chen Zuran's eyes glinted coldly. Besides, I always believe that those who rely on tricks will never achieve great things. Yi Gichin was too lazy to explain. Honey, look at what you're saying. Do I look like that kind of person? You do. Yi Gichin shrugged. Honey, saying that really hurts me. HMPH, Chen Zuran turned her head, remaining silent. In the end, Chen Zuran let Yi Gichin accompany her to the meeting room. Although she didn't want him to add insult to injury, for some reason, having Yi Gichin by her side gave her a sense of security. Mr. Chen, you've really made a grand move, securing Renmin Hospital right after returning from a business trip. In the future, as long as our medical equipment enters Renmin Hospital, even if our Chen Group's profit doesn't double, a 30% increase is entirely possible. Truly a young hero. If one day the Chen Group could be handed to Mr. Chen, we'd all be at peace. Our women really can't achieve great things. Did you hear? Vice President Chen Zuran of the Chen Group found herself a country bumpkin fiancé. Haha, if this gets out, how will our Chen Group maintain its face? Mr. Chen, you've heard about it too, right? If you have time, you should give her some advice. The meeting room was bustling with activity. Most of the Chen Group's high-level executives were flattering Chen Longxiang. The cooperation with Renmin Hospital was a big deal for the Chen Group, and Chen Longxiang deliberately called so many people to showcase his capabilities. Listening to the discussions around him, Chen Longxiang cracked a fake smile and said, "Everyone here is wise. I've also advised Sister Zuran, but what can I do if she doesn't listen? Hey, it's been nearly a month, and not only has the business in her charge not grown, it's declined significantly. If this continues, I'll have to make a righteous move against her." Mr. Chen, you're so magnanimous, still speaking for others in such times. It's our fortune to follow Mr. Chen. A group of people again began their flattery. When Chen Zuran arrived, hearing the unscrupulous discussions, her face flushed, and she silently found a corner to sit in. Before long, the chief of the equipment department at Renmin Hospital arrived. Du Kongqi, a portly middle-aged man. His eyes were small, resembling a smiling tiger's. With a slight smile, they would narrow into slits. "Mr. Chen, nice to meet you, nice to meet you." As soon as Du Kongqi entered the meeting room, he politely shook hands with Chen Longxiang. "Our dean has seen the sincerity of your Chen Group. This time, we mainly want to discuss specific cooperation matters with you." Seeing Du Kongqi being so polite, Chen Longxiang felt proud, inadvertently glancing provocatively at Chen Zuran, then said with a beaming smile, "Chief Du, you're too kind. It's our Chen Group's honor that Dean Wang decided to cooperate with us." Ha, Du Kongqi laughed heartily. Following that, Chen Longxiang seriously discussed the contract terms with Du Kongqi. Finally, Du Kongqi confirmed that 10% of Renmin Hospital's medical equipment would be sourced from Chen Group, with the contract being valid for 3 years. Although it was only 10%, Renmin Hospital was the largest hospital in Yun City, and the profits would be enough to support a company. Moreover, this contract was a validation for the Chen Group, making future collaborations with other hospitals smoother and the ensuing profits considerable. "All right, since we've roughly settled things, let's sign the contract," Du Kongqi said, sweeping his gaze around the meeting room, initially wanting to bask in the attention, but his eyes suddenly fell on Yi Gichen. Suddenly, Du Kongqi's smile seemed to freeze on his face. "Chief Du, I'll sign the contract with you today," Chen Longxiang said smugly. The person whose name appeared on the contract would be the hero of this endeavor, that was beyond question. Unexpectedly, just as Chen Longxiang thought everything was set in stone, Du Kongqi suddenly stood up, startling everyone in the meeting room. Du Kongqi pointed at Yi Gichen and said, "Mr. Chen, is he also one of your employees?" Yi Gichen was sitting behind Chen Zuran, and Chen Longxiang thought Du Kongqi was referring to Chen Zuran. He smiled slightly and nodded. "Yes, Chen Zuran, our vice president. Why, do you know him?" Du Kongqi almost nodded, but seeing Yi Gichen remaining silent with a smile, he quickly shut his mouth, trying to hide his excitement. He then said seriously to Chen Longxiang, "Mr. Chen, if you don't mind, can I sign this contract with him?" "What?" Chen Longxiang stood up abruptly. "Chief Du, are you joking?" "Mr. Chen, I'm not joking, I'm serious," Du Kongqi replied earnestly. But inside, he was thrilled. When Yi Gichen treated Wu Keijun's shingles, Du Kongqi was there and witnessed Professor John and Wang Jinglan competing to be Yi Gichen's apprentice. Even after returning, Du Kongqi kept hearing Wang Jinglan praise Yi Gichen, saying it would be great if Yi Gichen could be the deputy director of their hospital. Du Kongqi didn't believe Wang Jinglan had lost his mind. Being valued by Wang Jinglan, even if it didn't make one soar to great heights instantly, it certainly made one not to be underestimated. In any case, establishing a good relationship with Yi Gichen could allow him to shine in front of Wang Jinglan and gain Yi Gichen's favor. Maybe with just a word from Yi Gichen, Wang Jinglan would promote him. However, from the look in Yi Gichen's eyes, he didn't seem interested in acknowledging their acquaintance. But that didn't matter. As long as he signed this deal with Yi Gichen would surely remember his kindness. Meanwhile, Chen Longxiang's face turned red. This project had always been managed by him. If Chen Zuren were to sign it at this critical moment, wouldn't all his previous efforts be in vain, essentially making a wedding dress for someone else? Chen Longxiang tried to suppress his inner anger. Chief Du, this joke is a bit too much. Too much? Du Kongqi ignored the icy tone in Chen Longxiang's voice and continued. If you sign with him, our hospital will purchase 30% of its equipment from your company, and the contract duration will extend to 5 years. Wow! Du Kongqi's words left everyone in shock. 30%, tripling the original amount. This was practically a boon for the Chen Group. Moreover, a 5-year contract meant that the Chen Group wouldn't have to worry about selling their medical equipment for the next 5 years. Chief Du, are you serious? Someone stood up, excited. This profit was substantial enough to shift the balance in the hearts of those originally siding with Chen Longxiang. Of course, I represent the director, and I have that authority, Du Kongqi said, patting his chest. Chen Zuren was completely dumbfounded. She didn't understand what was happening, nor why Du Kongqi was offering such a good deal to her. Could it be because of Yi Gichen? Chen Zuren turned to look at Yi Gichen, only to see him casually give her a thumbs up. Well done, dear, I didn't know you had such a skill. Huh? Chen Zuren's face turned red upon hearing the compliment. But if she could really sign this contract, her status in the Chen Group would undoubtedly see a qualitative leap. Although she didn't fully grasp the situation, she couldn't afford to think too much. Chief Du, Chen Zuren stood up subconsciously. Du Kongqi was puzzled and was about to ask why Yi Gichen wasn't signing the contract when Yi Gichen nonchalantly replied, Chief Du, let me introduce you. This is my wife, Chen Zuren, the vice president of the Chen Group. Du Kongqi heard the words and instantly looked enlightened. He excitedly ran around the table to Chen Zuren. Mr. Chen, it is truly an honor to sign this contract with you. It is also my honor, Chen Zuren responded woodenly. Great, Zuren, hurry and sign it. Don't hesitate. I told you Mr. Chen is very capable. Many people in the meeting room started to encourage them. Finally, under Du Kongqi's repeated insistence, Chen Zuren signed the contract with Du Kongqi. As Du Kongqi was about to leave, Yi Gichen came up to him and said softly, Go back and tell your dean that if there's anything, he can come to me. Yes, I understand. Hearing Yi Gichen's words, Du Kongqi nodded repeatedly. With this promise, everything done today was not in vain. Yi Gichen, what's going on exactly? Back in the office, Chen Zuren still seemed to be dreaming. This windfall was too big, and it happened to land on her head. Of course, it's because you are amazing. HMPH, I didn't do anything, stop fooling me. Chen Zuren said with a hint of anger, What exactly did you do? Does this have something to do with Dean Wang? Darling, I told you but you didn't believe it, how can I explain? Looking at Chen Zuren's serious expression, Yi Gichen felt helpless. Besides, you've seen my medical skills. Do I need to fool an old man like Wang Jinglan? Thinking of the time Yi Gichen revived Zhou Huayan in the Mall, Chen Zuren felt skeptical. Could this guy really be more capable than Dean Wang? Looking at the contract in her hand, the black and white words on paper, this fact could not be changed. Bang! Chen Longxiang's office. Chen Longxiang smashed his teacup onto the ground. The cup shattered into pieces. Chen Zuren, you dared to play tricks behind my back. Damn it, this time, although I don't know what tricks you played, I won't let it go. The duck in his hands flew away. Chen Longxiang's anger was imaginable. Not far away, a small skinny figure stared at Chen Longxiang with flickering eyes. Mr. Chen, although this looks odd, it's not impossible to deal with Chen Zuren. Other ways, Chen Longxiang abruptly lifted his head. Lao Liu, tell me. This Lao Liu was the same Lao Liu who used to follow Big Head Li Pingfen. However, Big Head was terrified of Yi Gichen and didn't dare show up. But Lao Liu didn't know Yi Gichen's dreadfulness. Instead, he was recruited by Chen Longxiang as a personal driver. Lao Liu's mouth curved into a sinister smile. Mr. Chen, I heard Chen Zuren made a bet with Yi Gichen. If Yi Gichen can make the whole security department listen to him, Chen Zuren will take Yi Gichen home. Since that's the case, why not do him a favor and give Yi Gichen the position of manager of the security department? Chen Longxiang glanced at Lao Liu. Explain your reasoning. Mr. Chen, in my opinion, A woman like Chen Zuren would be ashamed to marry a bumpkin. Moreover, the responsibilities of the security department, if company security issues arise, we just have the chance to hold Yi Gichen and Chen Zuren accountable. Upon hearing this, Chen Longxiang's eyes lit up, seemingly surprised by He Lao Liu's suggestion. He Lao Liu, it seems keeping you in the security department was a waste of your talents. No, I'm here to serve Mr. Chen. He Lao Liu hurriedly bent forward. Haha, good, let's do it this way. Chen Longxiang suddenly laughed, his eyes filled with coldness. Bumpkin, since you want to marry Chen Zuren so much, I'll grant your wish. Haha, just hope you aren't Chen Zuren's dead star. Haha. What? Chen Longxiang asked Yi Gichen to be the manager of the security department. When Chen Zuren heard the news, she thought she heard it wrong. Annie also asked suspiciously, Yes, Mr. Chen, could there be something fishy about this? Chen Zuren remained silent. Chen Longxiang always wanted to keep control of the security department. Suddenly handing it over without a catch, no one would believe it. But at the moment, Chen Zuren couldn't figure out what Chen Longxiang was up to. Just then, her phone rang. Chen Zuren answered and saw it was her mother, LV Ping, calling. Chen Zuren didn't live with her parents, and they didn't call much, especially during work hours. Why call at this time? Chen Zuren answered, but before she could speak, LV Ping roared like a lioness. Chen Zuren, how dare you ignore us? Yi Gichen has been in Yun City for several days and you didn't even tell us. If it weren't for Longxiang mentioning it, we would still be in the dark. Upon hearing this, Chen Zuren quickly became anxious. Mom, actually. I don't want to hear your excuses. LV Ping cut in directly. Tonight, bring Yi Gichen over. HMPH, thinking it's easy to become our Chen family's son-in-law. And let me tell you clearly, Chen Zuren, don't dream that a country bumpkin like Yi Gichen can marry into our family. Mom didn't, Grandpa. Don't mention that old man. LV Ping interrupted Chen Zuren. I'll be waiting tonight. If you dare make any excuse not to come, don't bother coming back home again. Bang! LV Ping hung up directly. Chen Zuren's face was full of frustration. Since knowing about Yi Gichen's existence, Chen Zuren's mother had always opposed the marriage. Initially, Chen Zuren also didn't agree from the bottom of her heart, but as time moved on and she spent more time with Yi Gichen, she found herself no longer disliking him as much. So I guess I'll take it one step at a time. Chen Zuren sighed helplessly. She asked Annie to call Yi Gichen over, took a box from her desk drawer and tossed it in front of him, expressionless. Take this phone. Don't let me lose track of you. Inside is a card with 50,000 yuan. Remember to buy some gifts and come home with me tonight. Yi Gichen had already heard about his promotion to manager of the security department. Without any pretense, he picked up the box with a grin. Ha, since I'm now the security department manager, naturally it's time to meet the family. As he walked out of the office, Yi Gichen's expression turned grim. He could clearly sense something off in Chen Zuren's tone. He pulled out his phone and made a call. Investigate what happened in Chen Zuren's office 10 minutes ago and prepare some gifts for me. After hanging up, he looked at the card before slipping it casually into his pocket. Chunjing District. This was the home of Chen Zuren's parents. This area had old houses that weren't very big, but were worth over 2 million in Yun City. LV Ping smiled at a well-dressed middle-aged woman beside her after hanging up. Sister Zhao, I've already talked to Ranran about it. Don't take offense, her grandfather arranged that useless fiancé for her, just a country bumpkin. Tonight, let's see if your son can put him in his place. The middle-aged woman, Zhao Lan, used to be their neighbor but had moved away. She responded proudly. Of course, I've long planned for Ranran to be my daughter-in-law. We were neighbors for about 20 years, weren't we? Though my son just started a company and is busy, he always liked Ranran. One call from me and he will definitely come. Haho, that's good. LV Ping smiled contentedly and glared at the man beside her. Chen Guanghui, did you hear that? Sister Zhao's Zyro N has started his own company, while Ranran thinks about marrying a country bumpkin. It drives me mad. The man, Chen Guanghui, was Chen Zuren's father. Hearing this, Chen Guanghui put down his newspaper awkwardly. Isn't this inappropriate? The marriage was arranged by the old man on his deathbed. If... Nonsense, LV Ping exploded, poking Chen Guanghui in the forehead. Chen Guanghui, I've lived a miserable life with you. Now the Chen Group has billions in assets, but you as a Chen family member don't have a single position, lounging around at home all day, pushing our daughter in front. I heard from Chen Guangzong's son Chen Longxiang that he's targeting our daughter. trying to oust us from the Chen group and take it all for himself. You kept silent before, but today you must listen to me. If Zyro N can marry Ranran, we won't have to look at that old woman's face anymore. That's right, Aunt LV is spot on. Zhao Lan quickly nodded in agreement, looking increasingly pleased. Feeling humiliated by LV Ping's scolding, Chen Guanghui stood up awkwardly. I'll go buy some groceries, cook tonight. Humph, hurry up, LV Ping shot him a look. A useless man, only knows how to buy groceries and cook. Why did I marry you? Ranran won't follow my footsteps. This time I'll make that country bumpkin retreat in defeat. Evening. Chen Zuran and Yi Gichen arrived at Chunjing district. Honey, meeting the elders for the first time, I don't know what to say, Yi Gichen said with a cheeky smile, showing no signs of nerves. Yi Gichen had already asked Blood Rose to gather information, knowing that Chen Zuran's mother wanted to stage a drama tonight. But Yi Gichen wasn't concerned. If you want to act out a scene, I'll play along. Chen Zuran was exceedingly nervous, glancing at the bag in Yi Gichen's hand. Just don't speak out of turn at home, let me handle everything. He, sure thing, all up to you. Yi Gichen nodded obediently, but internally thought, it won't be up to you then. As Chen Zuran entered the house, seeing the scene inside, her face turned green. Not only were her parents there, but also two additional people. One was Zhao Lan, the other a young man about the same age as Chen Zuran, named Tian Chenjin, Zhao Lan's son, who they referred to as Zyro N. Mom, what's the meaning of this? Chen Zuran asked displeased, instantly understanding LV Ping's intentions. Tian Chenjin, meticulously dressed with slicked-back hair, looked every bit a successful man. Upon seeing Chen Zuran, his eyes lit up, completely ignoring Yi Gichen. Ranran, you've changed so much, becoming even more beautiful. It's been nearly 20 years since we moved away. If Aunt hadn't invited us, I might have missed you entirely. Chen Zuran didn't say a word, but looked toward LV Ping. LV Ping avoided Chen Zuran's questioning gaze and said, sighing, Ranran, I ran into your Aunt Zhao on the street a couple of days ago. That's how I found out they now live in Shengxi Huafu. The average price of their homes is over 50,000 per square meter. Look at Zyro N, he turned out to be successful. You two grew up together, so this time you should invite him over to play. Chen Zuran was upset, but it wasn't appropriate to lose her temper in front of outsiders, so she chose to ignore LV Ping. She pulled Yi Gichen over to Chen Guanghui and introduced, Dad, this is Yi Gichen. Hello, Uncle. Seemingly unaffected by the atmosphere, Yi Gichen greeted politely, shoving his gift into Chen Guanghui's hands. This is a small gift for our first meeting. Though Chen Guanghui couldn't make decisions in the household, he was pleased with Yi Gichen based purely on appearances. Good, please have a seat. Accepting the gift, Chen Guanghui hurriedly invited Yi Gichen to sit down. Oh, what kind of gift is this? Before Yi Gichen had a chance to sit properly, Zhao Lan chimed in snidely. Our Zyro N may not be particularly capable, but it's been a while since we've seen each other. He wouldn't dare to give anything less than 10,000. While talking, Zhao Lan exchanged a glance with Tian Chenjin. Tian Chenjin understood and quickly took out a bag from beside him, first handing it to LV Ping. Auntie, my mom told me late this time, so I didn't have time to buy something nice. I just brought some cosmetics for you. LV Ping accepted, opened the box and exclaimed, Wow, these are Swiss imported cosmetics. They must be expensive. Tian Chenjin glanced provocatively at Yi Gichen and said with a smile, Auntie, it's nothing. These 3 bottles of cosmetics were bought through a friend in Switzerland, limited edition, only 13,000, not much at all. 13,000, LV Ping exclaimed in surprise, looking bashful. Zyro N, you've really gone all out. At my age, I hardly need such high-end cosmetics. Auntie, you jest, you don't look a day over 30, nowhere near old. Tian Chenjin quickly flattered. Ha, Zyro N, you're so sweet, I'm embarrassed. LV Ping laughed heartily, holding onto the cosmetics tightly, fearing someone might take them away. Tian Chenjin then handed another box to Chen Guanghui. Uncle, this is a watch I got for you. It's a small brand, hope you don't mind. Before Chen Guanghui had a chance to open it, LV Ping snatched it away and exclaimed upon opening, Rolex. Zyro N, this is by no means a small brand, you've splurged too much. Haha, as long as Uncle and Auntie are happy, the money doesn't matter, Tian Chenjin said indifferently. Zhao Lan immediately chimed in boastfully, Exactly, our Zyro N has started his own company now, earning millions a month, this is nothing. Saying this, Zhao Lan's gaze fell again on the bag Yi Gichin had given to Chen Guanghui. Right, uncle, quickly open it and see what he brought. Haha, I heard some people come from the countryside. Could it be some sweet potatoes? Chen Zuren's face turned red and blue. She couldn't ignore the mockery in Zhao Lan's words. She had thought giving Yi Gichin 50,000 was already generous, but now she realized she had miscalculated completely. Moreover, considering Yi Gichin's taste, what good could he possibly buy? Although Chen Zuren hadn't decided to marry Yi Gichin, seeing Zhao Lan and her son now made her heart grow weary. Dad, wait until Aunt Zhao leaves before you look. Chen Zuren was afraid Yi Gichin had indeed bought some local specialties, which would be embarrassing. She snatched the bag from Chen Guanghui's hand to take it to the inner room. Ranran, what's there to avoid? LV Ping swiftly took the bag back from Chen Zuren. Since it's here, let's all have a look. Saying this, she quickly opened the bag. Inside were two separately wrapped items. One was tea leaves, and the other was jewelry. Oh, tea leaves. Zhao Lan relaxed seeing the two small boxes and picked up the tea leaves, twirling them in her hand. Tusk, how thoughtful, but I've never seen this brand before. Is it some obscure brand? LV Ping opened the jewelry box. Inside was a bracelet. However, the bracelet looked somewhat worn, with rust on the surface. LV Ping snorted and tossed the bracelet aside, clearly unimpressed. Not missing the opportunity, Zhao Lan grabbed the bracelet and laughed. Haha, it's rusted, could it be made of iron? Even if left on the street, no one would pick it up. And you brought this to gift, truly a joke. Chen Zuren was completely stunned. She thought even if Yi Gichin couldn't buy anything good, he wouldn't buy such obscure tea leaves and a bracelet that looked like rusty scrap metal. Yi Gichin, I gave you 50,000 and you bought these. Chen Zuren's face turned pale in anger. Yes, Yi Gichin seemed entirely oblivious to the accusation in Chen Zuren's words and smiled. These two items were bought through a friend. They should be worth more than 50,000. Zhao Lan burst into laughter. Haha, you must be joking. Saying these took a friend to buy and are worth over 50,000. And Aunt LV, from Ranran's words, did she have to pay for this visit? LV Ping's face grew darker and darker, glaring at Yi Gichin. Yi Gichin, people should know their place. Don't think an old man's last words entitle you to cling to our Ranran. A country dog will never become a true dragon. Mom, what are you saying? Chen Zuren realized she had misspoken. Facing LV Ping's words, Chen Zuren looked apologetically at Yi Gichin, but Yi Gichin seemed unfazed. Auntie, you're wrong, I'm just stating the truth. My friend said both the tea leaves and the bracelet are worth over 50,000. Haha, that just killed me, still arguing at this point. Zhao Lan laughed, feeling Yi Gichin was hopeless. These worthless tea leaves and the broken bracelet worth over 50,000. Why don't you pick up scrap metal and call it an antique? Believe it or not, up to you. Yi Gichin didn't bother explaining. The items Blood Rose bought for him were undoubtedly extremely valuable. If they couldn't recognize their worth, what point was there in explaining? Today he came only for Chen Zuren's sake. He couldn't care less about others' views. But Chen Zuren's face couldn't hold up. She wanted to explain, but with the items right there, how could she? Suddenly, Chen Zuren remembered the star love necklace. She quickly took it off her neck. Mom, this necklace was a gift from Yi Gichin. The auction price was 3 million. LV Ping couldn't believe it and glared at Chen Zuren. Enough, Ranran, stop trying to deceive me. Do you really need to explain the relationship between Yi Gichin and Zyro to me? Ha, calling a piece of glass worth 30 million, I'm not senile yet. Yes, Ranran, you need to face reality. Zhao Lan added fuel to the fire. There was a smirk of triumphant satisfaction on Tian Chenjin's face as he looked at the silent Yi Gichin. He decided to hit him further, to make him realize the vastness of the gap between them. Auntie, since this brother Yi says the tea and bracelet are valuable, I just happen to know an expert who specializes in such things. Why don't I send him a video to take a look? Sly. If even the expert said the items were worthless, Yi Gichin would lose all face. No need, Chen Zuren quickly stopped him. But Yi Gichin lazily replied, all right, since that's the case, I'll trouble brother Tian then. Haha, no trouble at all. Tian Chenjin was extremely pleased. Chen Zuren became anxious. Yi Gichin, what are you doing? Isn't this embarrassing enough? Yi Gichin nonchalantly said, honey, you have to trust me. Chen Zuren was so angry she couldn't speak. Others weren't blind, ignoring the unknown tea but a broken bracelet. Could it actually be an antique? Tian Chenjun quickly recorded a video of the tea and the bracelet and sent it out. Just a few seconds later, Tian Chenjun's phone rang. Tian Chenjun shook his phone. "Everyone, my friend is calling. I'll put it on speaker so you can all hear. Don't say I'm fooling you." While saying this, he deliberately glanced at Yi Gichen. Chen Zeren heard this and wished she could find a hole to crawl into. "This is great, the shame is complete." The call was connected, and a very excited voice came from the other end. "Chenjun. Where is you now? I'll come to you right away." Tian Chenjun was a bit surprised. "Mr. Zhou, do you need something?" "Tell me quick, where are you? I'll come over now." The other party was almost incoherent with urgency. "The items you sent in the video, don't let anyone touch them. I'll explain in detail when I get there." Tian Chenjun felt odd, but seeing the other party's insistence, he could only give the address. After hanging up, Tian Chenjun boastfully said, "My friend is expert Zhou Huyan, and his elder brother is Zhou Huayan, the major boss of Wanian Chang in Antique Street." Zhou Huayan, hearing this name, Yi Gichen felt he had heard it somewhere before, but he didn't say anything. But LV Ping was both surprised and delighted. "Zhou Huayan, I've seen him many times on TV before. Zyro N, you are truly impressive. Knowing his brother is quite an accomplishment." "Oh no, auntie, you're too kind." Tian Chenjun waved his hand. "Mr. Zhou will be here soon. I can introduce him to you then." "Great," LV Ping was flushed with excitement. Chen Guanghui was also surprised, even excited. Although he wasn't in charge of family affairs, he liked to study antiques. Naturally, he had heard of Zhou Huayan's reputation. Though the name of Zhou Huayan's brother was slightly less well known, he was still a prominent figure in the antique world. Less than 20 minutes later, Zhou Huyan arrived, and he was accompanied by an elderly man. As soon as Zhou Huyan entered, Tian Chenjun didn't even get a chance to greet him before he grabbed Tian Chenjun. "Where's the stuff?" On the table, Tian Chenjun found Zhou Huyan's reaction increasingly odd. Zhou Huyan looked around 50, dressed in a Zhongshan suit. The elderly man beside him was named Li Hengfeng. Despite his simple attire, his eyes were extremely sharp. As soon as he entered, Li Hengfeng moved faster than Zhou Huyan, not at all resembling someone his age. Li Hengfeng quickly rushed to the table, grabbed the package of tea, first sniffed it, then carefully took out a tea leaf, gently rubbed it. The more he observed, the more excited his expression became. "It's real, this is real." Everyone was puzzled. Embarrassed, Tian Chenjun asked, "Mr. Zhou, who is this?" Only then did Zhou Huyan, who was examining the bracelet, seem to realize he was being a bit impolite. He quickly introduced, "Oh, this is Mr. Li Hengfeng, the president of Yun City Tea Association." What? Tian Chenjun was stunned, not understanding why he had come along. Seeing the confusion in Tian Chenjun's eyes, Zhou Huyan explained, "Oh, Zyro Tian, when you sent me the video, I was with Mr. Li. He saw the tea in the video and insisted on coming with me." Tian Chenjun felt something was off. He didn't believe someone like Li Hengfeng would come all the way for a generic tea. Unaware of Tian Chenjun's change in expression, Zhao Lan naively thought it made her son look prestigious. She proudly said, "I didn't expect Mr. Li to come all the way to authenticate this generic tea for Zyroen's sake, truly." As she spoke, Zhao Lan reached out to grab the tea, seemingly ready to discard it. Carefully examining the tea, Li Hengfeng swiftly slapped Zhao Lan's hand away. "What are you doing? Calling this generic tea? Haha, how amusing." Zhao Lan was stunned. "This isn't generic tea, what is it, a famous tea?" Li Hengfeng sneered. "Famous tea, ha, how ignorant. This is imperial tribute tea sold by the gram. It was specifically for royal consumption in the past. Now a gram costs several tens of thousands and is rare and priceless, not available on the market." What? They were all astounded. Zhao Lan was even more dumbfounded. A gram costs tens of thousands, and it's not even available. Are you kidding? If it weren't her son who called him, Zhao Lan would have thought Yi Gichen hired a fraud. Li Hengfeng ignored Zhao Lan, turning to Chen Guanghui with a look of earnestness. "Sir, this tea belongs to you, right? I'll pay 20,000 per gram, no, 30,000 per gram. Will you part with it and sell me some?" Boom! This statement stunned everyone. Chen Zeren was so shocked she covered her mouth. Chen Guanghui was also taken aback. Having seen Li Hongfeng on TV, he wouldn't doubt his word. But how did this supposed generic tea become pricier than gold? LV Ping, thrilled, responded first, grabbing the tea. Hey old man, you yourself said this is our family's tea, rare and hard to come by. You want to buy it at 30,000 per gram. Li Hongfeng felt a bit awkward hearing this. LV Ping was ready to ask for a lot. Chen Zeren couldn't stand it anymore. Mom, this was given by Yi Gichen. You didn't want it at all. When did it become yours? LV Ping glared fiercely at Chen Zeren. You ungrateful girl, what do you know? Since it was given to us, of course it's ours. Chen Zeren felt frustrated. She didn't expect her mother to be so unreasonable. Well, why not sell a bit to Mr. Lei? Chen Guanghui finally spoke. Although the tea leaves were precious, getting acquainted with someone of Li Hongfeng's status was their good fortune. No, it's too cheap, LV Ping wouldn't agree. 500,000 per gram. Li Hongfeng gritted his teeth, looking earnest. Please part with a bit, I beg you. Gasp. 500,000. LV Ping's hands started trembling. Chen Zeren couldn't hold back anymore. She snatched the tea leaves and handed them to Li Hongfeng. Mr. Lei, you are too polite. If you want, I can give you a few grams for free. As she spoke, she took out a small bag and filled it with several grams. Li Hongfeng immediately acted as if he was holding a treasure, thanking Chen Zeren profusely. LV Ping jumped up. Hey Chen Zeren, your wings have really hardened. Those few grams are worth tens of thousands. Chen Zeren ignored LV Ping and handed the tea leaves to Chen Guanghui. Dad, keep them yourself, don't let Mom sell them. Saying this, she felt extremely peculiar, and looking at Yi Gichen again, it seemed as if he had foreseen all of this. How did this guy get such tea leaves? Li Hongfeng was satisfied. He moved to the side, looking and smelling the tea leaves in his hand contentedly, his smile never leaving his face. Zhao Lan's face changed, snorting. What's so great about it? It's just a case of a blind cat finding a dead mouse, getting such tea leaves, so what? Even if it's the best tea leaves, giving a worthless bracelet, that boy is simply insulting your aunt. Zhao Lan's words immediately shifted everyone's attention to the bracelet. At this time, Zhou Hujin was examining the bracelet with a magnifying glass, shaking his head and sighing. Zhao Lan felt assured seeing this. Mr. Zhou, what's the matter? Isn't this just a piece of worthless metal? Zhou Hujin straightened up with a regretful expression. Well, not to that extent. Although the color isn't top-notch, it's well-preserved, worth a few million easily. Whoa! With Zhou Hujin's words, Zhao Lan almost bit her tongue. Mr. Zhou, then why were you shaking your head just now? Oh, I just regretted not seeing this bracelet earlier. Gah! Zhao Lan almost spat blood. LV Ping grabbed Zhou Hujin's arm tightly. Mr. Zhou, did you say this piece of metal is worth millions? Are you serious? Zhou Hujin said seriously. Metal? Madam, you must be joking. This is genuine emerald, at least a few hundred years old. Emerald? Everyone was puzzled. This clearly looks like a piece of metal. How can it be jade? Zhou Hujin waved a hand. Bring me a cup of hot water. Chen Guanghui quickly brought a basin of hot water. Zhou Hujin didn't hesitate, carefully placing the bracelet into the hot water. Soon, the metal-like layers around the bracelet seemed to peel off in the hot water, revealing a glittering jade bracelet. Even those who didn't understand bracelets could immediately see its value. Is this really a jade bracelet? LV Ping was ecstatic, disregarding the heat, snatching it and eagerly putting it on her wrist. Seeing LV Ping's actions, Chen Zeren secretly shook her head but became even more curious about Yi Gichen. Chen Zeren looked at Yi Gichen with a humble expression, wanting to refuse such an expensive gift, but Yi Gichen said, We are family after all, haha. I didn't expect these two items to be so valuable. Since I gave them to uncle and aunt, they naturally belong to uncle and aunt. Exactly, once given, there's no reason to take it back. LV Ping feared Yi Gichen would take back the gifts knowing their value. She felt relieved hearing this. Both Li Hongfeng and Zhou Hujin now realized these items belonged to Yi Gichen, and they became interested in him. Young brother, where did you get these two items? Zhou Hujin asked cautiously. Oh, I had a friend buy them. I'm not sure where they came from, Yi Gichen answered honestly. Zhou Huyan urgently asked, "Could you introduce us to your friend?" Forget it, Yi Gichen thought for a moment and still rejected. He couldn't be bothered. Zhou Hujian and Li Hengfeng were a bit disappointed, nodding. "All right then, young brother, if you get good items like these in the future, you can find me at Antiquities Street. My name is Zhou Hujian." As he spoke, Zhou Hujian handed a business card to Yi Gichen. "If there's nothing else, we'll take our leave." As they walked out of the building, Zhou Hujian sighed deeply. Such a pity. Li Hengfeng looked at Zhou Hujian oddly. Pity for what? "Chairman Li, didn't you notice? When I asked the young brother if he could introduce his friend, he hesitated." Li Hengfeng was puzzled. "So what's the pity in that?" For some reason, I sensed arrogance in his eyes, as if his friend's status was below his own. Below his own? Yes, usually people are excited to see us, but he had such pricey items yet didn't show any emotion. "I feel that young man is not simple," Zhou Huyan said as he walked towards the exit. "Too bad, it seemed he wasn't interested in getting to know us." Li Hengfeng nodded thoughtfully. Inside the house, Zhao Lan felt like she was sitting on pins and needles. This time inviting Tian Chenjun, apart from showing off to the Chen family, it was also for Tian Chenjun's marriage. After all, marrying Chen Zuren meant building ties with the Chen family, which would definitely benefit Tian Chenjun's career. Unexpectedly, Tian Chenjun spent tens of thousands, but was still outmatched by Yi Gichen. Looking at the food on the table, Zhao Lan had no appetite. Didn't expect a poor boy from the countryside to bring such expensive items. He really got lucky, Zhao Lan said sarcastically. As the saying goes, once you've taken someone's hand, it's hard to be harsh against them. Though she still didn't like Yi Gichen, she found it improper to chase him away after accepting his gifts. Yes, some people can have short-term luck, but it's impossible to be lucky for life, LV Ping hinted. She thought like Zhao Lan, believing Yi Gichen had just gotten lucky, finding a jade bracelet and tribute tea. In the long run, LV Ping still prefers Tian Chenjun. After all, he can make millions in a month. If Chen Zuren really marries Tian Chenjun in the future, not only can she get a bigger house, but she won't have to put up with Elder Chen's temper anymore. Just thinking about it makes her happy. Yeah, now Zyroen has started a business called Extreme Star Technology. He's his own boss. Although he's very busy after a few years of hard work, he has assets worth 40 or 50 million. Zhao Lan suddenly turned to Yi Gichen and asked, "By the way, I heard you came from the countryside. Do you still not have a job? I heard Zuren isn't happy at the company either. Even though you're nominally Zuren's fiancé, you can't just live off her forever, can you?" As she spoke, she patted Tian Chenjun's hand. "Zyroen, no matter what, Zyro Yi knows Zuren. If you really marry Zuren in the future, you should help Zyro Yi. See if you can arrange something for him at your company." Tian Chenjun understood Zhao Lan's implication and smiled. "Mom, look at what you're saying. Brother Yi can give gifts worth millions. How could he be interested in our small company? Besides, our company only hires top talent, only master's degrees or higher. I don't know what Brother Yi's qualifications are, though." Zhao Lan, hearing this, secretly gave Tian Chenjun a thumbs up. Tian Chenjun felt quite proud. "So what if you hit the jackpot and gave a big gift?" "A country bumpkin, how could you compare with me?" Chen Zuren felt extremely uncomfortable upon hearing this and was about to cover for Yi Gichen when he said, "I wouldn't dare. I grew up living on a mountain with my master. If you must talk about education, it's probably preschool." Cough, cough, Chen Zuren choked on her own saliva. "Preschool education? How can you even say that?" Tian Chenjun was stunned. He didn't expect Yi Gichen to be so shameless and immediately laughed loudly. Brother Yi's education is really impressive. Anyone could hear the sarcasm in Tian Chenjun's words. But Yi Gichen seemed not to notice and shook his head, saying, "Not really. Although my education isn't as high as Brother Tian's, when it comes to making money, I don't think I'm any worse." "Oh," Tian Chenjun sneered upon hearing this. "Could it be that Brother Yi makes over 10 million a month?" About that, Yi Gichen lowered his head and started eating. LV Ping's impression of Yi Gichen dropped further. So this guy is just a braggart. It's one thing to freeload off Chen Zuren, but to make a fool of himself here, this marriage has to be called off. So how much does Zyro Yi have in savings? LV Ping hit where it hurt. Chen Zuren got nervous as soon as she heard this. What savings does Yi Gichen have? Just then, Yi Gichen's phone rang. He picked it up and deliberately brought it in front of Chen Zuren, not lowering his voice at all. "Dear, this phone you bought me today is new. I'm not sure how to answer it, can you show me?" PFF, Tian Chenjun, having just taken a sip of water, spit it out. "Damn it. To freeload to this extent is unbelievable. Even your phone was bought by Chen Zuren, yet you claim to be richer than me. Can't you script your bragging a bit?" Chen Zuren had a face full of black lines and pointed at the answer button with annoyance. "It's here." Initially thinking Yi Gichen had given her some face, but then he turned around and lost it again. "Oh, it's that simple." Yi Gichen answered the phone nonchalantly. "Who is it?" "Benefactor, it's me." From the other end came the excited voice of Wu Keijun. "I sold everything. Where are you? I'll come find you." Yi Gichen was momentarily surprised and loudly said, "This is a phone my wife just got me today. How did you get my number?" Tian Chenjun turned red upon hearing this. "Could you stop emphasizing that Chen Zuren bought the phone today? It's embarrassing." Wu Keijun, unaware of the situation, chuckled. "Benefactor, dogs have dog ways, cats have cat ways. Even though we brothers aren't capable, getting a phone number is no problem." Yi Gichen glanced at Tian Chenjun and didn't ask further. "All right, how much did you sell it for?" 27 million. Wu Keijun's voice trembled with excitement, shouting it out loud enough for everyone else to hear clearly. Yi Gichen simply said, "Then bring it to me." He then gave the address, hung up, and pointed at the phone with a sigh. "Brother Tian, I'm really sorry. New phones have such clear sound quality." "Damn!" Tian Chenjun fought the urge to punch Yi Gichen, smiling awkwardly. "Haha, indeed." "By the way, what were you saying? You make millions a month?" Yi Gichen suddenly asked. Tian Chenjun's mouth twitched. "Damn, can't you give me a break? Just now on the call someone mentioned delivering nearly 30 million, and now you're asking me this. Bloody hell, you're obnoxious." Although vehemently cursing Yi Gichen internally, he forced a smile. "Oh, I didn't expect Brother Yi to be doing big business. I wonder what kind of business it is, bringing in tens of millions at a time. Could you help a brother out sometime?" "Zyro, do you believe his bragging?" Zhao Lan rolled her eyes. "HMPH, I think he's putting on a show with someone. What a faker." LV Ping nodded, glaring at Chen Zuren, and said sarcastically, "Zuren, look carefully at your options. Marriage is a lifetime decision. Don't pick a braggart with no real abilities." "Mom," Chen Zuren didn't expect Yi Gichen's bragging to get out of hand, so she stepped on his foot. Yi Gichen yelped in pain, looking innocent. "Dear, why are you stepping on me? I'm telling the truth." Chen Zuren was mortified. "I'm trying to remind you." But seeing Yi Gichen's unrepentant look, Chen Zuren was furious. "All right then, I want to see who brings you 27 million. Tian Chenjun's eyes gleamed with triumph, thinking, "Sure enough, if you don't act up, you won't get into trouble." "Zuren, it's possible Brother Yi can make 27 million in one go," Tian Chenjun said with a laughing face, though inwardly ecstatic. "If Yi Gichen had stayed low-key, I would have lost today, but he chose to show off. So don't blame me for kicking you while you're down." Another 20 minutes passed before the door was finally knocked upon. Once again, Tian Chenjun was the quickest. He was the first to rush to the door. When he opened it and saw Wu Keijun standing outside, he couldn't help but heave a sigh of relief. Wu Keijun's clothes were somewhat worn out, all of them clearly from street vendors, not a single branded item on him. How could someone like this have money? "Haha, Yi Gichen, let's see how you explain this later." "Excuse me, is Mr. Yi here?" Seeing that the person who opened the door wasn't Yi Gichen, Wu Keijun quickly and cautiously asked. Yes, of course he's here." Tian Chenjun stepped aside and pointed at Yi Gichen, who was sitting at the table eating. Wu Keijun nodded and quickly approached Yi Gichen. Seeing Yi Gichen extend his hand, he hurriedly placed 3 checks into Yi Gichen's hand. "Benefactor, since the amount is quite large, the 27 million is divided into 3 checks. Please take a look." Apart from Yi Gichen, everyone else was stunned at the sight of those checks. Damn, he really brought out checks. Tian Chenjun was just about to mock Yi Gichen, but seeing this, his expression changed, and he snatched one of the checks. "This is fake, definitely fake. How could it be real?" With Tian Chenjun shouting, Zhao Lan immediately snapped out of it. Yes, it's fake. How could a poor boy like him have so much money?" LV Ping took a deep breath. truly astonished by Yi Gichen. If these checks are real, then it seems she'll have to reassess this poor son-in-law. Zuran, aren't you from finance? Quickly check if they're real or fake, Chen Guanghui suddenly recalled, reminding her. Yes, Zuran, quickly check, LV Ping urged. Chen Zuran was in a daze. When Wu Keijian took out the checks, Chen Zuran's heartbeat quickened. Though she hadn't seen them up close, based on her years of dealing with checks, she felt 80% certain they were real. Taking a deep breath, Chen Zuran asked Yi Gichen, "May I?" Yi Gichen grinned, "You're my wife, of course." Chen Zuran took the checks and examined them carefully, growing increasingly excited the more she looked. Finally, she took the check that Tian Chenjin had snatched, and after repeated confirmation, looked up. "How is it, are they fake?" Tian Chenjin asked impatiently. Chen Zuran bit her lip. "These 3 checks, they're all real." "Impossible." Upon hearing Chen Zuran's affirmation, Tian Chenjin seemed to go mad, pointing at Yi Gichen and yelling, "How can that be? He's just a poor boy. It took me 5 years to build a company, and its net profit is just a few million. He looks younger than me, how could he do this?" "Impossible, Chen Zuran, are you lying to me?" The greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. Before this, Tian Chenjin's path had been too smooth. Tonight, being silently crushed by Yi Gichen again and again, he finally couldn't hold it together. "You little bastard, you're definitely a fraud." Having drunk a bit earlier, Tian Chenjin went crazy, reaching out to grab Yi Gichen's collar. Though Wu Keijian didn't understand what was happening, seeing someone wanted to harm Yi Gichen, he immediately glared and threw a punch. "Damn it, where did this lunatic come from? Daring to touch Mr. Yi, questioning Mr. Yi, you're looking for death." Though Wu Keijian was somewhat small in stature, his shout was rather fierce. Tian Chenjin's glasses were knocked off, and even a tooth fell out of his mouth. Seeing Wu Keijian still wanting to advance, he backed away repeatedly, clearly terrified. "Wu Keijian, that's enough." Yi Gichen stood up, taking the 7 million check from Chen Zuran and handing it to Wu Keijian. "This is yours." "Ah, benefactor, Wu Keijian never expected Yi Gichen to be so generous. They had no part in discovering that tomb or dealing with that 2-headed snake. Yi Gichen didn't say much. "You have other matters, right?" Wu Keijian was stunned but quickly nodded. Yes, benefactor, this matter is not convenient to discuss here." Yi Gichen said, "All right, let's go outside." From the moment Wu Keijian entered, Yi Gichen sensed that he had something to say to him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have made a special trip here so late at night. Seeing Yi Gichen about to leave, Chen Zuran panicked, holding 2 checks worth 20 million in her hands, not knowing what to do. "Yi Gichen, these 2 checks." "Oh, you're my wife, so naturally, you should keep them," Yi Gichen said, glancing at Tian Chenjin, then turned and walked outside. Tian Chenjin was already utterly humiliated, and afraid that Wu Keijian might hit him again, so how could he stay any longer? Not long after, he and Zhao Lan hurriedly said their goodbyes and left. "Ranran, are these 2 checks real?" After everyone left, LV Ping snatched the checks in one swift move. Chen Zuran understood that LV Ping hadn't believed her earlier. She nodded. "They are absolutely real." "Wow, we're rich," LV Ping exclaimed in surprise, kissing the checks repeatedly. Chen Zuran looked distressed. "Mom, let's not talk about the origin of these checks first. They aren't ours, they're Yi Gichen's." LV Ping rolled her eyes. "We're all family, what's yours is mine." Afraid that Chen Zuran might take the checks back, LV Ping hurriedly took them into the inner room while muttering, "Truly a spendthrift. If I had known they were real earlier, I wouldn't have let him give away those 7 million. Chen Zuran seemed to be deep in thought. First, there was the 30 million necklace, then the gifts worth millions, and now 27 million in checks. Is Yi Gichen really just a simple country boy? "Speak, what is it?" Outside, Yi Gichen and Wu Keijian found a corner in the neighborhood. Wu Keijian hurriedly took something out of his pocket and handed it to Yi Gichen. Yi Gichen looked down and saw an object resembling a jade pendant. On the front was carved a snake head, while on the back were 3 words. Those 3 words didn't look like Chinese characters, they seemed more like Oracle bone script. Snake Head Mountain. Yi Gichen was slightly stunned when he saw those 3 words. Seeing that Yi Gichen recognized them, Wu Keijian's eyes lit up. "Benefactor, you're indeed amazing. I specifically found someone to verify these 3 words. They indeed spell Snake Head Mountain. What's going on? Yi Gichen ignored Wu Keijon's flattery and asked again. Wu Keijon didn't dare to hide anything and quickly said, Benefactor, when you descended into that tomb, I felt you might be interested in the things inside, so I paid a bit more attention. The rest of the items I sold to Wanian Chang. Zhou Huiyan also recognized their value at a glance and took them all without hesitation, but I found this item peculiar and kept it. Where did this come from? Yi Gichen asked, puzzled. When he had been in the small tomb, he hadn't found this jade pendant. Wu Keijon explained, Benefactor, you might not know this. After you left, I became interested in that 2-headed snake again, so I and Sandal cut open its stomach and found this. Go on, Yi Gichen's eyes brightened slightly. At that time, he hadn't considered whether there might be something in the snake's stomach. Wu Keijon had worked as a grave robber before, so his methods were a bit different from Yi Gichen's. Wu Keijon lowered his voice and continued, I found it odd when I got this jade pendant. After some inquiries, I actually dug up some information. Not many people know about Snakehead Mountain, but for people like us, it's very familiar. Snakehead Mountain is in the Kishan mountain range on the outskirts of Yun City. Coincidentally, I also went there at the time. As he said this, a hint of fear flashed in Wu Keijon's eyes. Yi Gichen perceptively sensed subtext in Wu Keijon's words. Your companion Shen Lang, is he the one who died in Snakehead Mountain? Wu Keijon was shocked, not expecting Yi Gichen to guess his thoughts so easily. He hurriedly said, Exactly, and from what I know, the old Sir of the Chen family also went to Snakehead Mountain decades ago to develop it, but later abandoned the idea. However, when he returned, he established the Chen group within 3 short years. It's said that after the old Sir returned from Snakehead Mountain, he contracted a strange illness and was barely kept alive for another decade, thanks to a divine doctor. You're talking about the old Sir of the current Chen group. That's right. Yi Gichen realized he had underestimated Wu Keijon. He'd even dug up such secrets. Although Yi Gichen was designated as Chen Zuren's fiancé by the old Sir of the Chen family, he was unaware of these secrets. But one thing piqued Yi Gichen's interest. Because the place where his master, Li Fengxian, found him back then was Snakehead Mountain. It said that the Snakehead Mountain area had a large tomb complex, and judging by this, the old Sir of the Chen family must have discovered something there as well. Yi Gichen showed a contemplative expression. Wu Keijon tentatively asked, Mr. Yi, that's Snakehead Mountain. Yi Gichen, understanding Wu Keijon's implication, nodded slightly. Let's find some time to go take a look. Great, Wu Keijon was overjoyed. He had always been haunted by his companion's death, and after witnessing Yi Gichen's abilities, he couldn't suppress the urge to have Yi Gichen lead them to explore Snakehead Mountain again. Unexpectedly, they found a jade pendant with Snakehead Mountain inscribed on it in the snake's stomach, which intensified Wu Keijon's resolve. Ranrin, slow down. At that moment, LV Ping's voice came from Chen family's window. Yi Gichen looked towards the hallway of Chen family's building and saw Chen Zuren hurrying out. All right, you go back first, I'll contact you later, Yi Gichen said to Wu Keijon, then quickly caught up with Chen Zuren. Honey, what's wrong? Chen Zuren looked anxious. Something terrible has happened. Chen Zuren's face was anxious. She hailed a cab from the side of the road and headed straight for the suburbs. In the car, Chen Zuren was trembling all over, her lips tightly pressed together, her brows furrowed, and her face slightly pale. She mumbled to herself, I hope everything is okay. I hope everything is okay. Yi Gichen looked serious. He reached out and held Chen Zuren's hand. Her hand was extremely cold. The moment it was held, she instinctively tried to withdraw it. Honey, no matter what happens, I'm here with you, Yi Gichen smiled. Chen Zuren lifted her head, meeting his eyes, and for some unexplainable reason, she felt a sense of calm. This man, why did his mystery have such a captivating feel? The factory in the suburbs of the Chen group is on fire, Chen Zuren spoke after a while. Although she didn't think Yi Gichen could help, at least someone could share the burden with her. Just now I received a call informing me about it, but we don't know the exact extent of the fire yet, Chen Zuren said, feeling helpless. That factory produces medical equipment. We just signed a contract with Renmin Hospital today. If we can't deliver on time, not only will we have to pay a huge penalty, but the Chen group will also be severely impacted. I fear that being kicked out of the Chen family will be the least of my problems. Yi Gichen squinted his eyes. So ruthless. This move drove Chen Zuren straight into a dead end. And I just got the position of manager of the security department today. The factory fire is also the responsibility of the security department. This not only implicates Chen Zuren, but also me. This is simply killing two birds with one stone. Currently, there's no evidence, and without knowing the factory's losses, there's nothing we can do. Meanwhile, at the lakeside villa, a sumptuous dinner was laid out in front of Chen Longxiang. Beside him stood He Lao Liu, bowing. Haha, He Lao Liu, brilliant. This time you did an excellent job. Chen Longxiang downed the wine in his glass and said heartily, I want to see how my dear sister handles this. He Lao Liu flattered, it's all thanks to your leadership, Mr. Chen. I'm just running errands. Haha, no need to flatter me. Rest assured, after this succeeds, not only will Chen Zuren be kicked out, but I'll also make sure Yi Gichen ends up in jail. The position of manager of the security department will be yours, Chen Longxiang promised. He Lao Liu rejoiced upon hearing this. Thank you for your support, Mr. Chen. 99 Xinjiang Road. Flames soared into the sky at this moment. By the time Yi Gichen and Chen Zuren arrived, the factory was beyond saving. What's going on? Chen Zuren got out of the car and hurriedly ran to the entrance, but was stopped by someone. That person's face was covered in black soot. He kept his head down and didn't dare to look at Chen Zuren. Manager Wu, I'm asking you, what happened? Chen Zuren shouted, restraining the urge to slap the middle-aged man in front of her. Wu Yingde, the manager responsible for the Chen Group's medical equipment production, trembled as he spoke. Mr. Chen, we don't know what happened. One of the workshops suddenly caught fire. Although we tried to save it, the fire spread too fast and we couldn't save it. Were there any casualties? No, none. I saw the fire was out of control, so I had everyone evacuated. Look, the whole factory is now completely ruined. Wu Yingde shook his head. Hearing this, Chen Zuren felt a surge of blood rising and collapsed to the side. Yi Gichen quickly supported Chen Zuren, his eyes filled with a cold rage. I'm Chen Zuren's husband. You take her to rest first, and you show me around the site, Yi Gichen ordered sternly. Wu Yingde looked up at Yi Gichen and instinctively wanted to refuse. Yi Gichen's face hardened. I'm now also the manager of the security department. Hurry up. Yes, yes, Wu Yingde quickly nodded and led Yi Gichen towards the factory. The flames were so intense that even from tens of meters away, one could feel the strong, burning heat. Manager Yi, there's really nothing we can do. Wu Yingde started to say, but was interrupted by someone shouting, no, there's still someone inside. What? Wu Yingde trembled and shouted towards the voice, what's going on? Didn't I tell you to evacuate everyone? A worker hurriedly ran over from a distance. It's Liu Hong. Before the fire, I had just relieved him for his break in the rest area. I thought he had come out, but we couldn't find him. He might still be trapped inside. Wu Yingde pointed at the worker, at a loss for words. Losing the equipment was one thing, but if lives were lost, it would be even more serious. Then what are you standing around for? Go find him, Wu Yingde barked. The worker looked troubled. Manager Wu, the fire's too intense. We can't get in. Even if we did by now, I'm afraid. Despite his strong resolve, Wu Yingde's legs gave way, and he collapsed to the ground. It's over, it's all over. Yi Gichen ignored Wu Yingde and asked the worker, where is he? What are you going to do? The worker looked at Yi Gichen in confusion. Tell me where he is, and I'll go save him. Both the worker and Wu Yingde were stunned. The flames were so intense that anyone inside would likely be incinerated. How could he save anyone? Moreover, going inside was essentially a death sentence. Manager Yi, I know you're anxious, but in this situation, Wu Yingde tried to advise him, but Yi Gichen glared at him. Stop talking nonsense. Tell me where he is and I'll go save him. There, over there, the worker, feeling an inexplicable chill from Yi Gichen, quickly pointed in the direction. The flames there were over 10 meters high, with ashes flying everywhere. It seemed anything could melt in that heat. Without another word, Yi Gichen dashed toward the flames. Manager Yi, Wu Yingde couldn't believe Yi Gichen actually dared to go, but before he could stop him, Yi Gichen had disappeared. The worker asked cautiously, Manager Wu, who is this person? Wu Yingda glanced at the worker. Yi Gichen seems to be Mr. Chen's man, but I've heard, isn't this guy a village bumpkin? Why does he give me such a strong presence? Then, the worker swallowed hard. In recent days, the news about Chen Ziren's fiancée arriving had spread like wildfire throughout the Chen group, and naturally, the workers in their workshop discussed it during their breaks. In everyone's eyes, Yi Gichen was nothing more than a village bumpkin, someone who lived off a woman. And even today, when it was announced that Yi Gichen had become the manager of the security department, they assumed it was only because of Chen Ziren's influence. Now, this guy actually took the initiative to rescue someone, making people see him in a new light. Oh no, Wu Yingda, suddenly thinking of Chen Ziren, slapped his forehead. If something happened to Yi Gichen again, how would he explain it to Chen Ziren? Just as he was about to turn towards the resting room, he saw someone standing behind him. It was Chen Ziren. After a short rest, although Chen Ziren's face was still a bit pale, her breathing had noticeably stabilized. She bit her lip, her eyes red. She had heard the entire conversation between Wu Yingda and the worker just now. She had never thought that the usually nonchalant Yi Gichen would have such a brave side to him. Suddenly, Chen Ziren's heart felt as if it had been slashed by a knife, causing a sharp pain. Fool, why are you so foolish? That fire is so big, did you think you were a god? Chen Ziren's eyes were fixed on the direction where Yi Gichen had rushed off, trying hard to suppress her tears. Only now did she realize that Yi Gichen had left an indelible mark on her heart. In just a few days, Chen Ziren finally understood a phrase her friend Mai Lan often said: some people make you feel like you've known them for a lifetime when you first meet them, etched in your heart and mind, while some people, even after knowing them for a lifetime, remain just acquaintances, and you might not even remember their faces. In the past, Chen Ziren had always scoffed at Mai Lan's words, but now she realized it was an absolute truth. You fool, is it worth it? Finally, Chen Ziren couldn't hold back her tears any longer, and they flowed like a flood breaking the dam. She had already made up her mind. If Yi Gichen really made it out alive, she would be with him for the rest of her life. But what a miracle that would be! Every second that followed felt like a torturous eternity. In less than 5 minutes, it felt like an endless century to Chen Ziren. Just when she was utterly desperate, she suddenly heard a worker shouting excitedly, "Look there, it seems like there's someone." Chen Ziren quickly lifted her head and looked in the direction the worker was pointing. Sure enough, a figure was running out from the flames. "It's him, hurry up and help," Wu Yingda also shouted excitedly. Before long, Yi Gichen emerged, carrying Liu Hong on his back. Though Liu Hong was unconscious now, fortunately, he only had minor burns and was not seriously injured. Oh my God, he really saved him. It's a miracle. Manager Yi, you're amazing. Many people gathered around, giving Yi Gichen a thumbs up. Yi Gichen handed Liu Hong over to others. Wash his face, let him rest, and he should be fine. The crowd erupted in applause. Chen Ziren could no longer contain her emotions and threw herself into Yi Gichen's arms. Fool, never do something so foolish again. Tomorrow, we'll get our marriage certificate. With the fragrance wafting, Yi Gichen felt the softness in front of him and lazily said, "Cough, cough, I'm not done playing yet. Getting the certificate now, isn't that too fast?" You scoundrel." Chen Ziren was utterly embarrassed, burying her head deeply into Yi Gichen's chest, not daring to look up. She then fiercely bit his chest. "If you dare to leave me, I'll bite you to death." Ouch, Yi Gichen cried out exaggeratedly, hugging Chen Ziren tightly, a look of triumph on his face. Hee, you're my woman, how could I ever leave you? Chen Ziren and Yi Gichen ultimately did not get their marriage certificate. Overnight, the news of the factory fire spread like wildfire throughout the Chen group. Even though Chen Ziren tried to suppress the news, it still reached the Renmin hospital. The atmosphere in the meeting room was extremely tense. Those high-ranking officials who had been wavering because of the contract Chen Ziren signed with Renmin Hospital immediately sided with Chen Longxiang. Even Du Kongqi from Renmin Hospital had come to the Chen group again. "Mr. Chen, I've heard about the fire in your factory. I don't care about the reasons, but if you can't deliver the goods on time, you will have to pay the penalty." Du Kongqi glanced at Yi Gichen, his face cold. This matter was too big, involving amounts exceeding hundreds of millions. Even though Yi Gichen had some influence with the dean, there was no way he could cover it up. Chen Zuren had dark circles under her eyes, indicating she hadn't slept all night. She got up early in the morning to personally contact some suppliers in Yun City, thinking of getting supplies from other medical equipment suppliers to temporarily close the gap for Renmin Hospital. But to her surprise, although there were more than 10 medical equipment manufacturers in Yun City, they all seemed to have a unified stance, saying they had no stock available. Chief Du, we will certainly resolve this issue, please rest assured, Chen Zuren said apologetically. Du Kongqi said, Mr. Chen, I signed the contract with you. Now that there's a problem, the dean will hold me accountable, and I can only hold you accountable. Just don't make it difficult for me when the time comes. Of course, of course. After finally seeing Du Kongqi out, Chen Zuren returned to the meeting room, where all eyes were on her. Mr. Chen, what should we do about this? We have already lost billions in the factory and materials. If we have to pay the penalty to Renmin Hospital, our Chen group might be finished. Mr. Chen, please think of a solution. Chen Zuren felt a chill running through her body. Chen Longxiang sneered, at this point, what solution can there be? The elder is here. At this moment, someone outside shouted. The door to the conference room was opened. An elderly, frail old woman walked in. It was the current head of the Chen family, the grandmother of Chen Zuren and Chen Longxiang. Chairwoman, chairwoman, chairwoman. As soon as everyone saw the old lady appear, they all stood up and greeted her. Only Yi Gichen seemed not to see her, sitting quietly in the corner. He was typing a message, gather equipment worth 80 million within 3 days. After finishing, he sent the message. Soon he received a reply, yes, boss. Yi Gichen, grandma is here, why are you still sitting? Stand up quickly. Chen Longxiang intentionally tried to impress the old lady and saw Yi Gichen still sitting, feeling delighted inside. At a time like this, you're really asking for trouble. The old lady sat at the head seat, and Chen Zuren stood on the side nervously, not daring to make a sound. The old lady looked around, her gaze finally landing on Yi Gichen. Although I seldom handle affairs now, that does not mean I'm completely uninvolved. Such a big thing happened, does no one want to give me an explanation? As she spoke, the old lady's dragon-head cane struck the ground twice, making everyone freeze in fear, not daring to move. Chen Longxiang, however, fawned, Grandma, don't get angry. Your health is more important than anything. The old lady snorted, calming herself, giving Chen Zuren a sidelong glance and pointed at Yi Gichen. Zuren, even though your grandfather had a last wish, and I know you are a filial child, some people lack the most basic manners, can't you teach them? The old lady had long known about Yi Gichen's arrival. Yet she didn't bother to care about it. She really didn't hold such trifling matters in her heart. But today, Yi Gichen actually disrespected her in front of all the company's senior executives, which made the old lady very angry. Chen Zuren, feeling extremely awkward, glared at Yi Gichen. Stand up and greet Grandma quickly. Yi Gichen stood up lazily and looked directly at the old lady. Zuren and I are not formally married yet. Isn't it too early to call you Grandma? Boom! The whole room was shocked. This Yi Gichen must have gone crazy. He actually contradicted the old lady to her face. Chen Longxiang was secretly delighted. You're really good at digging your own grave. Ha ha, Chen Zuren, do you see now? Look at the man you've chosen, let's see how you defend him. Chen Zuren was also stunned. At this moment, she wanted to defend, but it was clearly impossible. Grandma Gichen he, Chen Zuren, though well-read, couldn't even utter a complete sentence now. The old lady snorted, directly interrupting Chen Zuren. Enough, don't explain to me. Even if you explain, I won't listen. I'm here today to find out how to deal with this crisis. Grandma, I will try to contact other medical equipment manufacturers to fulfill the contract with Renmin Hospital, Chen Zuren quickly said upon hearing this. The old lady sneered. Zuren, contacting other manufacturers at this time, won't they take advantage of us? And how much liquid funds does the company have now? Do you have enough? Chen Zuren was immediately choked. This. She really hadn't considered so much. Longxiang, what do you think? The old lady looked at Chen Longxiang, her eyes filled with a doting love completely different from when she looked at Chen Zuren. Chen Longxiang immediately smiled and replied, "Grandma, leave this matter to me. I will find a way to contact the other manufacturers, and I guarantee they won't charge us extra and will even give us credit." Credit? Chen Zuren's eyes widened. Those merchants are not charities. Why would they give you credit for medical supplies? The old lady seemed to have been waiting for this question and nodded approvingly. Good, since Longxiang said so, he must be able to do it. If this crisis can be resolved, I can enjoy my old age. The implication was obvious. If Chen Longxiang could resolve this crisis, taking over as chairperson was possible. Upon hearing this, everyone immediately responded. The old lady is truly wise. With Longxiang's abilities, he can definitely resolve this crisis. We firmly support Longxiang. The flattery echoed endlessly. Then a discordant voice rang out. Does no one want to ask how this fire started? Everyone turned to stare at Yi Gichen. Chen Longxiang was even more secretly pleased. I was just about to hold you and Chen Zuren accountable. And you brought it up yourself. It seems you've reached a new level of self-destruction. Grandma Zuren signed the contract, so she should be responsible. And Yi Gichen, as the manager of the security department, didn't prevent such a basic safety accident. He can't escape blame either. Chen Longxiang's words immediately prompted others to agree. Chen Zuren's face turned even paler. Yi Gichen, as if unaffected, walked up to Chen Longxiang with a disdainful smile. Are you sure this fire was Zuren's responsibility? Nonsense. Chen Longxiang, visibly uncomfortable being stared at, quickly turned his head, not daring to meet Yi Gichen's gaze. It's obvious, do I even need to say it? The old lady nodded silently. That's right, Chen Zuren can't avoid punishment for this. Chen Zuren had resigned herself, bowing her head, not speaking, just waiting for the old lady's verdict. Ha ha, old lady, I've heard you were biased from a young age, and now it seems your reputation is well deserved. Yi Gichen suddenly laughed. This matter clearly shows it's an arson case, and you don't even plan to investigate. As he spoke, Yi Gichen glanced intentionally, or unintentionally, at Chen Longxiang. Chen Longxiang suddenly panicked. Damn, you country bumpkin, what are you looking at me for? I'm looking at you, of course, because I suspect you set the fire. Bang! Yi Gichen's words were like a thunderbolt out of a clear sky. Too fierce. Chen Longxiang's face turned red as he pointed at Yi Gichen and shouted, Country bumpkin, you speak nonsense without any evidence. Stop spreading lies here. Saying this, he then turned to the old lady. Grandma, this country bumpkin is so rude, not only disrespectful to you, but also spreading lies here. I think he and Chen Zuren are birds of a feather. Maybe they conspired to set the fire to prevent our Chen group from growing, intending to bankrupt us. Such words were very heart-wrenching. The old lady's face turned cold as well. Chen Zuren defended, Chen Longxiang, you don't slander people. Haha, slander, you know very well that Grandma hasn't thought highly of you since you were a child. You must be holding a grudge and want revenge. That's it, definitely. Otherwise, how could it be such a coincidence that your poor fiancé came here only a few days ago and became the manager of the security department so quickly? Tell me, wasn't it deliberately arranged by you? Chen Zuren's eyes widened, totally not expecting Chen Longxiang to reverse black and white like this. The security department was clearly under your control before. And the position of the security department manager was also given by you to Yi Gichen. Now you're hitting back. The old lady squinted her eyes, seeming to believe Chen Longxiang's words to some extent. Slap! Who knew at that moment a loud slap was heard. Chen Longxiang covered his face and retreated several steps. He looked at Yi Gichen in horror. Country bumpkin, you dare to hit me. Yi Gichen stepped forward and kicked Chen Longxiang in the stomach, sending him flying several meters away. Damn it, so what if I hit you? Daring to slander my wife, I'm taking it easy on you today. Everyone was stunned. Is Yi Gichen too bold? Daring to hit someone in front of the old lady and all the company executives. You are courting death, Chen Longxiang shouted loudly outside. Security, damn it, are all the security dead? Shortly, 4 or 5 security guards came in. Chen Longxiang, his face ferocious, pointed at Yi Gichen and roared, Why are you all just standing there? Beat him, beat him to death. The security guards looked at each other, glanced at Yi Gichen, and didn't move. Damn, are you all dead? Go beat him up, Chen Longxiang shouted again. Yi Gichen smirked and waved his hand, saying to the security guards, "This has nothing to do with you, you all can leave now." The security guards left. Everyone was stunned. Yi Gichen's words carried more weight than Chen Longxiang's. This country bumpkin, having been in the position of security department manager for less than a day, had earned such high authority. Chen Longxiang, call for more people, Yi Gichen provocatively said. Chen Longxiang was dumbfounded, seeing that he could not command the security guards, quickly crawled to the old lady's side, pleading, "Grandma, you saw it too. This country bumpkin is too presumptuous. Who gave him such courage? It must be Chen Zuran. Their ambitions are wild. Now they can control the security department. In the future, I fear they will control even the Chen group. By then you too will be driven out of the Chen group, out of the empire Grandpa built so hard." The old lady's face grew darker and darker. She had never seen such an arrogant person as Yi Gichen before. Even from the beginning to the end, Chen Zuran did not come forward to stop him. "Chen Zuran, do you have anything to say?" The old lady's tone was icy. Chen Zuran bowed her head, nothing to say. But in her heart she thought, well done, since we're leaving the Chen group anyway, a beating to vent is good. Although faintly, Chen Zuran also felt that the fire incident was related to Chen Longxiang, but all the evidence was burned by the fire. With no evidence, the responsibility could only be hers. "All right, in that case," the old lady slapped the table, "then I'll announce the punishment." "Wait," Yi Gichen interrupted the old lady, smilingly said, "Old lady, before you announce the punishment, I want to remind you, don't come begging Zuran to come back later." "Haha, lunatic. We begged Chen Zuran to come back, are you delusional? Country bumpkin, are you still dreaming?" Not only did Chen Longxiang find Yi Gichen absurd, many company executives also scoffed. The old lady also had a mocking look. "Yi Gichen, since the old man has left a last wish, I naturally can't go against it. Now it seems you two really are a perfect match. In that case, don't come to the Chen group these days." Although not dismissed, it was also an indefinite leave, not far from being kicked out of the Chen group. Chen Longxiang was ecstatic, wishing he could shout. Chen Zuran had anticipated this result, didn't argue, just sighed softly and turned to leave. Yi Gichen, however, laughed. "Old lady, since you've already said it, let me put it this way too. If it's our responsibility, we won't evade. But if it's not our responsibility, no one can escape being held accountable." After speaking, he turned and left. Arrogant madman. Unbelievable. Cursing echoed in the conference room. "Brother Yi, were you really fired? Let's go played with the old lady." "Yes, Brother Yi, this matter has nothing to do with you or Mr. Chen." A group from the security department protested after hearing Yi Gichen and Chen Zuran were fired. Yi Gichen smiled nonchalantly, "Don't worry, I'll be back soon enough." "All right, it's like this, so don't brag." Chen Zuran proactively held Yi Gichen's wrist. "The world is big, we won't starve." Leaving the Chen group, Chen Zuran suddenly didn't know where to go. Looking at Yi Gichen, she earnestly said, "Now that we've been kicked out, even though I'm a little unwilling, I really want to get the marriage certificate with you." Yi Gichen was speechless. "What's going on?" He, wife, nowadays it's cohabitation before marriage. How about we go home first and study some positions?" Yi Gichen cheekily looked at Chen Zuran's chest. "Bastard!" Chen Zuran raised a foot, flying towards Yi Gichen. Yi Gichen easily dodged, exaggeratedly yelling, "Murdering your husband, murdering your husband." "RRR, Yi Gichen, if you keep talking nonsense, I'll tear your mouth apart." On the roadside, the two of them bickered, attracting countless glances. Ring, ring. As the two were wandering aimlessly, Chen Zuran's phone rang. She picked up her phone and saw it was her best friend Mai Lan. "Hello." Mai Lan screamed excitedly over the phone. "Ranran, where are you? I've found my Prince Charming." Chen Zuran had always felt her best friend was neurotic. Since they first met, Mai Lan had told Chen Zuran she's looking for a hero, a superhero like Superman, and he must be good-looking. So many people had pursued Mai Lan over the years, but no one ever succeeded. Chen Zuran had always said, "Then you'll stay single forever." Now this neurotic friend suddenly called to say she had found her Prince Charming. "Hey, I'm at Left Bank Coffee near your office, hurry over here. I want you to see my man." After saying that, My Lan didn't wait for Chen Zuran to speak and hung up excitedly. Chen Zuran felt helpless and said to Yi Gichen, "It's my best friend." Yi Gichen naturally heard the voice over the phone and said, "You should go. I need to start investigating the real culprit behind the factory fire and find a way to make Chen Group beg you to return." "All right, I'll be waiting for that." Chen Zuran hardly believed him, looked around to make sure no one was nearby, and suddenly leaned toward Yi Gichen's ear and whispered, "I've already been kicked out. If you're after my money, it's not too late to regret now." Yi Gichen turned his head, and as a result, his lips brushed against Chen Zuran's lips. Chen Zuran was startled. "Ah, my first kiss. You took advantage of me." Chen Zuran felt as if she had been electrocuted and quickly stepped back. Yi Gichen laughed. "Wifey, hardships are temporary. If you don't have money, how can I accomplish my dream of being a kept man?" Humph, narcissist. Chen Zuran turned and left. Watching Chen Zuran get into a cab, Yi Gichen's playful smile faded into a serious expression. He took out his phone and called Blood Rose. "Spread the word that Star Group might collaborate with Chen Group, but keep in mind, only Chen Zuran can make this happen." "Got it?" Blood Rose's tone was slightly sour. "Boss, even acquiring Chen Group is just a matter of your word, you." "Just do it." Yi Gichen hung up the phone directly. After a moment's thought, he made another call. "Black Panther, have someone keep an eye on Chen Longxiang. Inform me immediately if he makes any moves." Black Panther was thrilled to hear Yi Gichen's voice. "Yes, Mr. Yi, you're finally contacting me. I'll handle it well." Left Bank Coffee. "Ranran, you finally arrived. Look, this is my man." My Lan, dressed fashionably in a knitted top and jeans, couldn't care less about small talk when she saw Chen Zuran. She pulled Chen Zuran to sit down and eagerly pushed her phone in front of her. On the phone was a video playing, showing Yi Gichen riding a shared bike at high speed. Looking at that figure, Chen Zuran felt an inexplicable sense of familiarity. This person looks so much like Yi Gichen. But on second thought, she laughed silently. Since Yi Gichen had started rescuing people from the fire, Chen Zuran discovered that although he appeared carefree, he was passionate inside, especially his actions in recent times, which had genuinely made her fall for him. But how could someone like that be riding a bike at high speed? "Why are you showing me this video?" Chen Zuran asked worriedly, having no intention of joking with My Lan at this moment. My Lan, not noticing anything wrong, said excitedly, "Ranran, this is my Prince Charming. Haha, did you see? He rides faster than cars. Isn't he a hidden superhero in the city? I'm determined to find him and then find a way to sleep with him, haha." Thinking about it, My Lan laughed loudly, as if she already had the high-speed rider in her grasp. Chen Zuran, used to her friend's neurotic behavior, indifferently said, "Then I wish you'll get this man soon." Of course, My Lan didn't catch the perfunctory tone in Chen Zuran's words. She set her phone on the table, rested her chin on her hands, and stared dreamily at the man in the video, mumbling, "So handsome, too handsome." Chen Zuran finally couldn't stand it. "Hey, you only see a back. How can you tell he's handsome? And who knows if this video is edited with special effects? You actually believe it?" My Lan heard this and immediately became unhappy. "Ranran, you don't understand. I specifically asked the small streamer who recorded the video. It's definitely real. HMPH, and don't criticize my man. He's certainly a super handsome guy. Once I get him, I'll definitely bring him before you and dazzle your eyes." "Pa, you're the one with dog eyes," Chen Zuran retorted. My Lan's gossip instinct flared up. She took a sip of coffee and asked sneakily, "By the way, have you confronted your jerk fiancé yet?" "Oh," hearing My Lan mention Yi Gichen, Chen Zuran replied wistfully, "I'm going to marry him." PFF, My Lan sprayed coffee all over Chen Zuran's face, causing her to jump up and scream, "What are you doing?" No, what did you just say?" My Lan helped wipe Chen Zuran's face while asking. After struggling to clean her face, Chen Zuran snorted, "I said, I've fallen for that jerk." My Lan checked Chen Zuran's forehead and muttered, "That's not right, it doesn't feel like a fever. Why are you talking nonsense?" "You're the one talking nonsense." Chen Zuran smacked My Lan's hand. "You don't understand. Now I feel Grandpa's choice back then was wise." "What's going on? Hurry and tell me." My Lan was completely clueless. This was less than a week, right? Chen Zuren, a high-minded beauty, was really conquered by a country bumpkin. Chen Zuren sighed and didn't hide as she explained the recent events to Mai Lan. Mai Lan opened her eyes wide after listening. You mean you've been kicked out of Chen Group? Chen Zuren nodded. If the cause of the factory fire isn't found to be intentional sabotage, I might not have a chance to go back. Although she seemed carefree, being kicked out was definitely a humiliation. Moreover, knowing someone had tampered with it but couldn't do anything about it. However, he said he could help me. For some reason, Chen Zuren suddenly remembered Yi Gichen's words.